Hi everyone, this is Heidi from My Reading Life, here today to film a book haul. This is going to be a book haul of all the books that I've acquired over the summer months. I talked about a library book sale that I went to recently where I acquired like 18 books, and then beyond that I've picked up a few odds and ends here and there over the summer. So I've split this into two videos. Today I'm going to be talking about the nonfiction that I've hauled recently over the summer, and then I'll do a fiction haul later on. So let's just get to it because there's a lot of books here to talk about. The first book I'd like to talk about is this book, Janesville, An American Story by Amy Goldstein. I have had this book on my peripheral vision for a while, since it came out in 2017. Recently, one of my favorite booktubers, I can't remember if it was Claire or Vanessa over at Split Reads, read and reviewed this, and that kind of I was getting ready to make a book order anyway from Book Outlet for another book that I needed to get, and they happened to have this one for like $5 or $6, and I was like, no brainer, been wanting to read this one. So this is about a town in, I can't even remember which, somewhere out in the Midwest. This town that loses its manufacturing base and sort of follows the people there as they still try to pursue the American dream. And today, in the era of Trump politics, this seems perfectly appropriate reading if you're into that sort of thing. The next thing I found is this book, We Wish to Inform You That Tomorrow We Will Be Killed with Our Families, Stories from Rwanda by Gourevitch. This was the winner of the National Book Critics Circle, National Book Critics Circle Award, so that's cool. And I can't remember where I first heard about this, but I've been wanting to learn more about the situation in Rwanda. I found, as you can see from this terrible sticker that I haven't removed yet from the book, I picked this up at a Goodwill for $2 and thought that it would be a good way for me to learn more about this topic. The next book I found was at that so-called library book sale. This is HS4 Hawk by Helen MacDonald. I don't really need to explain this one to anyone. This is a memoir about a woman who loses her dad and then deals with the grief of that, and at the same time is training a goshawk. So it's meditation on grief and also nature and birds and all that. It's a beloved darling on BookTube. Everybody loves this book. Everywhere, everybody raves about this book. I found this beautiful hardcover with the deckled edges at the library book sale, and Doris and I are going to be buddy reading this book very soon, so I'm excited about that. Also at the book sale, I picked up Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. This is a collection of essays where she is talking about things that she's learned as a young woman. And I actually dug right into this after I bought it at the book sale. I read like the first 5 or 6 pages and laughed out loud multiple times. The woman, Lena, in these, I don't know how old Lena Dunham is, but I think she's pretty, you know, quite a bit younger than me. But definitely these essays take place for a woman in like college age, so quite a bit younger than me, certainly in having a different cultural experience than I had when I was in my early 20s, but still a lot of universal truths that women have to go through no matter what era we grow up in. So I'm looking forward to reading some funny essays. The next book was also from a booktuber. I picked up because of a booktuber. This is Giving Up the Ghost, a memoir by Hilary Mantel. Britta Bowler suggested this book back during, I believe, the Reading Women readathon, which happened back in June, as a book about illness, chronic illness. Hilary Mantel suffers from endometriosis, I believe, and there are members of my family who also suffer from endometriosis, and so that was something I wanted to learn more about. So when Britta described this book in one of her recommendations videos, I thought this would be a perfect book for me to read. So at the same time I bought Janesville from Book Outlet, I picked this one up as well. And I think that's a really beautiful cover, really haunting. I just love it. The next book is Oliver Sacks, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat and Other Clinical Tales. I have never read any Oliver Sacks. I've been wanting to. He was a neuroscientist, and he's written lots of books about neurological issues and sort of drawing on his time as a physician and a researcher. I picked up one of his other books last year at the library book sale. Have not yet read it. Oops. And when I saw this one at this year's book sale, I figured, why the heck not? Might as well have two. So when I finally do get around to reading them, I'll have two to look forward to. The next two books are both by the same author. I've heard a lot about both of them because, of course, Erik Larson is a pretty beloved narrative nonfiction writer. This one is In the Garden of Beasts, Love, Terror, and an American Family in Hitler's Berlin. So this nonfiction tells the tale of 1933, Berlin. I was trying to find the name of the family. An American family. The Dodds are sent to Germany. I believe he's America's first ambassador to Germany, and this is when Hitler, is in power, and she becomes enamored of Hitler, I believe. So I don't really know. Maybe that's not true. Martha, the daughter becomes entranced by Hitler. Sorry, not the wife. But I've heard lots of good things about Erik Larson's writing. I have not personally read anything by him. I know he wrote also The Devil in the White City, and this other book that I have by him, which is, Isaac Storm. And this is about a hurricane that hit Texas in 1900 and is still the most, or the worst, or at least at the time of this writing, because I don't know if the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico maybe has topped this storm as far as damage done by a climate or weather-related event in the United States. But this was supposedly the worst natural disaster to ever hit an American state. But like I said, maybe Puerto Rico has outdistanced this one. But still, I thought this would be a good one. I like a good weather-related disaster nonfiction. I've read what was the one I read about New Orleans? 5 Days at Memorial, which was just heartbreaking but an amazing read. So I thought this one would be good to try, Erik Larson. Then I picked up another nature book. This is called The End of Nature, Bill McKibben. Bill McKibben is a science writer. I've read at least one of his books previously. He writes a lot about climate change and why humans should wake up to what is happening to our natural world. This is a collection of essays that he's written that have to do with nature. I think Bill McKibben is from New Hampshire or one of the New England states anyway. And I just really like his nature writing. I think he does a nice job of describing things in a way that's not too sciencey, but is very relatable. So, and I also, another beautiful cover. Couldn't resist that book for $1, I'll tell you. Recently I did a review of Being Mortal by Atul Gawande, and absolutely love that book. It's one of the top books, if not the top book that I've read so far this year. And so when I saw this book by Atul Gawande, Complications, A Surgeon's Notes on an Imperfect Science, I had to pick it up. This was a National Book Award finalist, and this is his nonfiction about just things that have happened to him in his career as a surgeon. Atul Gawande is just an amazing writer. I've also read his book, The Checklist Manifesto, which was excellent, especially if you're a person like me who lives by my lists. I highly recommend that one as well. I would read anything that this man writes because he is a beautiful, beautiful writer. In the vein of some of the presidential reading I've been doing over the last few years, I found Theodore Rex by Edmund Morris. This is a biography of Teddy Roosevelt. Earlier this year, Doris and I read The River of Doubt, which was about Theodore Roosevelt's trip down a previously unexplored segment of the Amazon, which really got me interested in Teddy Roosevelt as a person, as a historical figure. He's since come into play with some other books that I've read which do not paint him in a very flattering light. He certainly was racist in his attitudes towards African Americans and towards Native Americans. Certainly was a product of his times, the early 1900s, as a white privileged person. But I'm still fascinated by him because he did do some good things as well. So he's a complicated figure. He's not black or white in terms of his morality. And so I'm very interested to learn more about him. I had seen some good reviews of this particular biography of him, and so I thought I would give it a whirl when I saw it at the library book sale. And then the last book I picked up is a book that I've already read, and it is called The Diversity of Life by E.O. Wilson. I may have mentioned this book on my channel before. I don't particularly love this cover. My original copy, I think, is a nicer cover, but this is the book that basically sealed the deal for me in wanting to have a career in the sciences. I thought I wanted to be a scientist, but what I really thought I wanted to do was to become an environmental lawyer. You might be surprised to find that in my real life, not on camera, I am particularly argumentative about things that I'm passionate about. And when I was younger, I thought I would change that. Some people maybe think it's a flaw, but some people maybe think it's a strength, and I thought I would utilize that in my career. But I got assigned this book early on in my college career, and it pretty much sealed the deal for me that no, I don't think I want to be a lawyer. I think I want to go into the straight sciences, and particularly the natural sciences, and particularly field biology of some kind, because that is where my heart lies. And Edward O. Wilson is a beloved natural history, natural sciences writer. He writes in a way that brings the natural world to life. The writing in this is just amazing. The section in here that sticks in my mind, I mean, it was over 25 years ago that I read this book for the first time. And the scene that particularly sticks in my mind is him talking about the leafcutter ants in the Amazon and how they cut these leaves and bring them into their ant hill, and then they ferment, they grow a fungus, and that fungus is actually what the ants consume. It's not the leaf itself. And the way that he wrote about that tickled my fancy so much that I just thought the world is just so amazing and complex, and we just never know. There's so much stuff lurking under the surface that we just have no idea about. And so I just absolutely love this book. And when I saw it sitting on the table at the library book sale, even though I already own a copy, I just couldn't leave it there. I just couldn't leave it there sitting all by itself. So I bought it, and I'm planning to gift it to my niece who is studying science at college right now. So that is it. That is all the books that I picked up at the library book sale and other places this summer for nonfiction. Please let me know if you've read any of these, if there are any you particularly enjoy, if there are any you think I should get to sooner rather than later. I am very interested to know your thoughts about any of these. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.